After what seems like a lifetime, Stage 2 of Operation Daihatsu Deck Fan is officially in the books. While Stage 1 of the build proved to be a pretty straightforward bolt-in affair, Stage 2 reminded us that working on something so obscure and so small comes with a plethora of different challenges. But we did it. And that's really what matters most. And what also matters is how we got there, because we couldn't have done Stage 2 without Stage 1. So for those of you out there who missed Stage 1 of the build or are a little fuzzy and don't really recall what all was done and why, let's do a quick little roundup of what we installed and how it's performed over the last couple of years, because we've been pretty damn impressed with what we put on this truck. Like most off-road builds, this truck got its first mods when we decided that it was time for some tires, off-road wheels, and a little bit of a lift, as well as some security options, which we'll talk about afterward. Over the course of the past couple of years, I've been nothing but impressed with this combo that was selected for this truck. I love the tires, which are a Geolander XAT all-terrain tire. They've been great in the mud, excellent in the snow, fantastic in the sand, pretty damn quiet on road, and I find that their tread life lasts the typical 2 years or so. But while their on-road mannerisms are pretty good for being what they are, I found that stone ejection tends to be the biggest issue with this compound. That being said, I get the feeling this has more to do with the narrow width of the tire itself than the tread block design, and I really can't fault the tire for picking up some stones here and there. These Yokohama compounds are wrapped around a 14-inch wheel made by none other than Wed's Wheels, or Wed Sport, out of Japan. This single-piece design is the Mudvance 06 version, and it's a great-looking wheel in my opinion, and it's held up wonderfully, just like every other set of Weds I've ever owned. While I do wish that I was able to get a little bit more of a concave-looking wheel, size constraints on the vehicle itself, as well as Japanese law, forbade me from going any deeper than something flush. However, that's a small price to pay for something that's so practical and utilized every day, and I've never once encountered any issues with warpage or mounting problems, things like that. But this wheel and tire combo would definitely not have fit at all on the stock suspension, so we went with a Forest Auto Factory lift kit, which are springs. Just like the wheels and tires we're rolling on top of, these springs are 100% made in Japan out of Japanese material, and they are awesome. Over the course of the past 2 years, I haven't noticed any sagging beyond just a millimeter, and that's just settling more than anything. With larger wheels and tires combined with this modest lift, we have a total of 2 inches of height added to any point of breakover on the vehicle. Not only has this additional 2 inches of clearance allowed me to tootle around on the farm without issue, but it also has allowed me to adventure further off-road and explore trails I normally couldn't get across. Or in winter, when the snow stacked up just deep enough where, in stock form, the front bumper on this vehicle would have been grounded out. The final piece in the Stage 1 puzzle came to us via our friends over at Bolt Locks, who provided us with a variety of different locking solutions so that I could tie down that spare up top, or securely attach a cooler in the back or a gas can and not have to worry about it rolling around or getting stolen when I'm out camping. Not only have these locks been incredibly reliable and tough as all hell, but they've also allowed me to use one key to lock and unlock every single Bolt product that was sent to me. This revolutionary design is incredibly practical, and I will leave links to all of the Bolt Lock information below, as well as Stage 1, so that you can peruse it at your leisure and decide whether or not this design is right for you. Now that we have provided a brief recap of Stage 1 of the build and can confidently confirm that yes, that combo that we selected was the right choice after all, it's time to turn to Stage 2, which was, as I mentioned earlier, quite the challenge. Since the majority of my time is spent up here on the mountain, clearing land and working with the soil and planting all sorts of trees, I find myself off-road more times than I do on-road. So while stage one of the build definitely gave me the clearance that I needed, as well as a bit more traction and security, I still found myself going, oh my gosh, my front bumper is getting absolutely destroyed on this damn mountain. So after doing a little bit of digging, I was able to unearth a bolt-in brush guard combo kit from a company named Overtech here in Japan that checked pretty much all the boxes. Not only did it sit far enough out from the bumper to allow something like a winch and lighting to sit behind it, which we will get to here momentarily, but it also had angled skid plates down bottom, as well as a license plate mount, extra holes for putting cubes on, or a light bar if you needed. A whole bunch of extras that typically you don't see here in Japan. Being that this truck is still street legal for the time, I needed to make sure that it was able to be bolted in and bolted out for inspection so that I could still clear code when the time came to talk to the coppers. Installation on this brush guard was pretty straightforward too. It really is a bolt-in affair that requires you to merely remove a tiny piece of a cross member, which is thinner than a piece of Swiss cheese and completely pointless, and modify your bumper a bit, cut out a bit, and throw it in with a few bolts. After a little over a year of testing, I can confidently say that this bolt-in brush guard is a really solid product. And beyond needing a second layer of rhino coating a few months after the purchase, the original stuff was a little bit too weak in my opinion, it's been great. But as I mentioned earlier, one of the main reasons I liked this design over other versions that were available was that it leans outward just enough to allow a winch to be mounted behind it, which we will discuss right now. After shopping around for a bit, I came across a UTV or side-by-side winch that, just going off the dimensions from the bumper and the brush guard that I'd selected, would fit, barely. The winch is manufactured by Holly and falls under their Anvil off-road division. It's incredibly lightweight, has a very small footprint, utilizes a synthetic rope to save further weight, but still provide enough tensile strength to get the job done, and perhaps most importantly, comes with a remote control. Being that a bone stock Daihatsu Deck fan weighs barely over 2,000 pounds, this winch was more than adequate for what I needed. However, no sooner had we received our winch as well as a mounting plate to put it on, and we realized that that big old piece of metal that was supposed to bolt up to the winch was not going to fit behind that brush guard. Not being ones to give up easily, we went back and forth with a bunch of different cardboard templates, gave it a good brainstorm or 2 or 10, and eventually came up with an idea that worked. By shaving down the winch plate, we were not only able to save a whole bunch of weight, but we were also able to use the L-shaped curves on certain sections to reverse mount design a bracket system that would be welded in directly to our brush guard. This not only created a very strong triangulated design with overly thick pieces of metal, but it also allowed us to easily bolt and unbolt the winch, the brush guard, everything else. It was all easily transformable. But before we could install the winch, we knew that we needed to modify our brush guard a bit. So we cut out a couple of fins in the center part of the bash plate so that we could have an opening for the fair lead to feed its way through. To access the winch, all you need to do is push these 2 tabs in the center of these buttons. These are quick release hood pins that I got on Amazon, and they work perfectly. Just like that, and out you go. And then back behind here, you have your winch and fair lead. With the winch successfully installed and just enough clearance on all sides for it to not rub things like the condenser, it was now time to turn toward the back end of the vehicle and discuss a locking differential. While newer Daihatsu trucks do come with a dedicated locker, this older version does not have one. So I contacted Traction Concepts down in Florida about manufacturing something for this jolly old deck van. Traction Concepts uses a revolutionary design that doesn't require the use of any shims or any form of fiddling at all. It's pretty much just a plug and play drop-in unit. The only thing we really had to do prior to install was torque down some bolts to OE spec and pop it on in and fill it up with OE Toyota rear differential fluid. Not only has this Traction Concepts locker gotten me out of quite a few slippery and sticky situations, but I love that it was a plug and play solution to a problem. So with recovery gear, a locking differential, and a brush guard up front, it was time to turn to overland lighting, which Holly once again provided the goods for. While the light bar that Holly sent over was a little bit too wide for the OE mounting holes on this brush guard, I was able to fabricate up a little bit of a bracket and bolt it into said original holes and make it work. I was also able to recycle the previous spotters that I'd been utilizing for the past few years and mount them up top, which they swivel and can be pointed in pretty much any direction and are still bright as all can be. And I was also able to slap some overhead spotters on as well. While I definitely don't use the overhead spotters nearly as much as the bumper mounted units, I do find them to be incredibly useful when I'm in the midst of the woods in the middle of the night trying to move a deer carcass. When Holly sent over its bright earth spotter cubes and its light bar, as well as that winch, it also included a set of floods, which were perfect because I needed something out back. Not only have these floods been an absolute blessing when it comes time to chop up a deer carcass at night, but they also are perfect for when it's time to rummage around and find the right camping tool that you need. In order to toggle and power everything lighting-wise on the vehicle, I went with a marine grade toggle box, which is perfect for the width of this area right beneath the shifter. With a bit of tinkering, I was able to construct a mole panel system on both sides of the dog box that this toggle system is mounted into, and that allows me to mount mole pouches here and there for things like USB cables and trash bags and whatnot. It also gave me the perfect mounting point for my winch toggle system, which is inside the cab. It also gave me an ideal mounting point for the winch remote system, which is over here on this end. Being ever so generous, Holly also sent us a 20-liter jerry can, which came with this little bracket cage for mounting. But because this is a Daihatsu deck van, things are, well, a little quirky to say the least, and I have yet to find the right configuration for mounting holes for this thing. And last but not least is this beast. This is a Kolpin UTV rack system, which bolts in perfectly to the rails on either side of the deck fan. While Kolpin is not a sponsor of any kind for this project, I couldn't resist picking one of these up and having it shipped over. And as you can see, it provides that second tier to a bed or deck on the truck that is itty bitty. Not only does this provide me with an additional stow space for camping gear and chainsaws and things like that, but this over bed rack system also allows me to keep things like that bloody deer down here and all of my butchering tools up on this end, as well as, once again, that cooler full of deliciousness that's heading to the freezer here in a few. So while stage 2 of the Daihatsu deck van build definitely came with its own set of challenges every step of the way, we were eventually able to overcome, and here we are today with a much more practical, purpose-built machine on our hands. While he definitely is still one of the least attractive vehicles imaginable, there's no denying the practicality that's associated with something that is barely bigger than a dual row side-by-side. Not only has this quirky little pickup truck proven to be incredibly reliable, but it also is a whole ton of fun to be driven around up here on the mountains and is very practical when it comes to navigating mountain passes that are incredibly narrow and steep. So I'm thinking about keeping them and turning them into a dedicated farm truck when the time is right, and take insurance and inspection requirements and plates off of the vehicle. And then I can really do whatever the hell I want to with the vehicle and not have to worry about any consequences with the fuzz. But that whole side of the project's another year or so down the line, and we're here to discuss stage two, which is now complete in its entirety. So thanks for joining us for a quick little walkthrough of stage two of the Daihatsu Deck Van project, and we will catch you guys out on the trail.